12:31. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mari Mukwanda. There's a lot of hype surrounding a cryptocurrency these days. Cryptocurrency may have once seemed like a niche interest or a passing fad, but it's moving quickly into the mainstream. With all the hype surrounding cryptocurrency, here's what you need to know before parting ways with your hard earned cash. And to tell us more, we have the founder of Encryptoza, an online education platform designed to make understanding cryptocurrencies simple, Sufyan Atib. Assalamu alaikum, Sufyan, and shukran for joining me.
Wa alaikum salam. Peace be upon you too, and thanks for having me.
All right, so cryptocurrency has been the talk of town lately. I know everybody wants in on the action of cryptocurrency, but there's
Mhm.
also a lot of scams going around when it comes to cryptocurrency because of a lack of understanding. So, what exactly is cryptocurrency? And give us a brief history behind it.
Okay, thanks. Before I go into what cryptocurrency actually is, you first need to understand the history of money, right? So humans have evolved over the past few years in terms of what currency actually means to us. And initially, when humanity first began, we used to use, for example, beads and rice as well as salt as a form of currency. And over the years, this has evolved where we came to the times of the Romans, where the Romans started using actual gold and silver coins as a form of medium of exchange. So as time went by, because gold was so heavy to carry, humans started using IOUs. So what that meant was for every gold that we had, it was pegged to an IOU. And as time went even further, what that IOU evolved into was fiat currency. Now, what fiat currency actually is the currency that we actually use today. So fiat stands for let it be done. It's a Latin term which stands for let it be done. So basically now as today stands, we currently use fiat currency as a medium of exchange. Now, in order for you to understand why cryptocurrency is being regarded as a currency is because of the characteristics of currency, right? So you need to understand that there are certain characteristics a currency must have in order for it to be a sound currency. Now, the first characteristic must be is that the currency must be durable, right? Which means that it must not erode over a certain period of time. The second characteristic is that it must be fungible, right? So that you may be able to exchange one for the other. So let's say, Mariam, you have 100 Rand and you like to exchange the 100 Rand. If you give me the 100 Rand and I give you my 100 Rand, we should still be able to use that money and it must still hold that 100 Rand value. Okay.
Mhm.
The third characteristic is that it must be portable, right? So it must be easy to transport. So previously, historically, humans used to use cattle as a form of currency, and that was difficult to transport, and it was not easy in terms of the durability perspective. And then the fourth characteristic is that currency must be divisible, right? Divisible meaning that you should be able to divide it into smaller units, right? So when I say smaller units, let's say we take the same 100 Rand. If you go to the shop and then you say, okay, can I have 250 Rands? They will give you 250 Rands and it will still hold the same value as the 100
Mhm.
Rand note. Okay. And the last point speaks to more scarcity, right? So if you know gold was a form of currency that was used in the past, and gold is very difficult to sort of mine. And that's the reason why, gold currently holds value till today, right? Because of its scarce nature. Okay.
Mhm.
So those are the characteristics of a currency. Now, the reason why Bitcoin in particular, not the other cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in particular is called a currency is because it holds these and has these sort of five characteristics of money. Now, in terms of the history of cryptocurrencies, there are currently over 17,000 cryptocurrencies. So I'm not going to go into the majority of the cryptocurrency. I'm just going to go through the one cryptocurrency, which is the king of cryptocurrency, which is called Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin was launched in the year 2007. That's when the project initially started, right? Bitcoin was founded by a person by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, Satoshi is just an alias, right? It's not the person's real name. Till today, no one actually knows the identity of the founder of Bitcoin, right? It's quite
Mhm.
funny. And it was found during a time whereby there was quite a lot of turmoil, right? There was a financial crisis that was happening in the USA and across the world, right? And in what Satoshi did, right? He created this currency, right, which is a digital form of cash, right? He posted this document, which is called a white paper, in this group, right, called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, right? And what that white paper entailed was the details and functions in terms of how Bitcoin will work. Sorry, so in terms of how Bitcoin will be a currency, how people will be able to send digital cash to each other, how the blockchain technology will work, how the reward system will work, how the mining will work, in terms of the number of Bitcoins that will ever be available, which will be only 21 million, etc. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so to summarize all of that, right? Bitcoin is basically a form of digital cash, right? That is decentralized and uses cryptography to keep it secure. So, in more simple terms, right, we can say that Bitcoin is basically just software, right? Software code in the form of digital tokens, right? That you can use and send to anyone in the world without there being a central entity such as a bank, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this particular software uses encryption as a type of security to keep it secure. In a nutshell, that's basically what Bitcoin is. It's a digital form of currency.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you get started with cryptocurrency? And let's talk Bitcoin, since that's the type or the example that you've given. Like, what's the best way to start for a beginner?
So I think the most important thing when it comes to cryptocurrency is knowledge, right? You can't get into something if you don't have the right knowledge. So we always encourage people to say that, okay, before you even get started into cryptocurrency, do some research, right? There's a term in the cryptocurrency space that says DYOR, right? Which means do your own research, right? So they say that particularly because of the fact that you can't just go and decide to say, okay, I want to invest in Bitcoin because I saw that, for example, somebody bought Bitcoin 6 7 years ago and today they're a Bitcoin millionaire, right? So you should actually do research in terms of what Bitcoin is. But to summarize it, in order for you to get started, right, you need firstly a place to hold your currency, your Bitcoin, right? And then you need a way to transfer your fiat money into Bitcoin, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the place that you need to store your Bitcoin is called a wallet, right? Which is a digital wallet, and you need that. So there's many types of wallets. So you have a software wallet, right, which can be in the form of a mobile app. You have a hardware wallet, which is also regarded as a cold wallet, which is in a form of a USB-looking sort of device. So the first thing that you need to get in order for you to get involved in cryptocurrency is firstly get a wallet. Now, there are many wallets out there that you can use. You can either go on an exchange such as Binance, Coinbase. In South Africa, we have Luno. There are different exchanges that whereby they facilitate the keeping of your currency. But now, what you need to also take into consideration is that if you're going through an exchange, right, the exchange will hold your password in terms of your private keys, right? So they will be responsible for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going on your own, for example, if you buy the USB device, which is like, for example, the Ledger Nano as an example, you would be the one that will be the custodian of your cryptocurrency. So to cut things short, to make it simple, if you are a beginner, the first thing that you need to do before you can purchase Bitcoin or get hold of any cryptocurrency is that you need a wallet. Once you get this wallet, you will need a way to transfer your funds, your fiat money, whether it's the rand, the dollar, into this wallet, and once you do that, you'll be able to sort of have cryptocurrency. Now, the easiest way to do it, of course, is through an exchange like Binance. You'll register on the exchange, and then once you register, they have this option where you can purchase cryptocurrency. So that would be the easiest way to sort of get hold of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Now, are there any risks involved? It's easy for somebody to, well, it's not easy to accumulate large sums of money, especially if you've
Mhm.
been saving for a long time and then all of a sudden you put it into something like Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, and then boom, your hard-earned cash is lost and you can no longer regain it. So, what are the risks involved in a cryptocurrency?
Okay, that's a very, very good question, Mariam. I mean, there are actually quite a few risks, right? that people need to consider before they get involved in cryptocurrency. That's the reason why we always emphasize that knowledge is very important, right? Now, with anything that's new, there will always be bad actors, right? There will always be people trying to sort of scam you in terms of, asking you to send them money in order for them to invest for you, and people that will basically sell you dreams, right? If anyone comes to you and tells you that, if you send me 1,000 Rand and in the next week I can turn that into 10,000 Rand, you must be aware that's most likely a lie, right? With any market, it's, we see this in the stock market, we see it in the currency forex market, we see it across the board, right? And we see it a lot in crypto, because the reason why there's a lot of scams in cryptocurrency is because of the fact that cryptocurrency is not yet regulated, right? There isn't proper regulation in place across the world. Even in the United States, it says, okay, this is what must happen when you are scammed. This is the person you need to go to, etc. And the reason why this is a challenge is because, cryptocurrency is decentralized. So there's no central entity that the government can hold accountable. You understand? So that's the challenge that the regulators are currently in. And of course, of the fact that, there's many other challenges with regards to the fact that new cryptocurrencies are coming out every day, etc. So in terms of the major risks is scam. So people actually asking you to send them money so they can invest on your behalf. Never ever do that, right? Mm-hmm. That's one thing I always tell to sort of our members and students, that never ever give anyone money to invest on your behalf, unless of course they're a trusted source, right? If you do your research, they're a trusted source, they have the knowledge in terms of what currencies to invest in, etc., then most likely then you can, right? That's the first one. The second one, which is a big thing in the cryptocurrency space, is risk of losing access to your private key. Okay, to simplify that is that there are a lot of hackers out there that can actually gain access to your wallet and take your currency and transfer it to themselves, right? So we've seen this across the board in terms of the scams, with regard to security breaches across different exchanges where people's login details get hacked. And once they lose those login details, the hacker gets access of their cryptocurrency and sends it to themselves. Now, there are many challenges around the fact that, what you need to do in terms of ensuring that you have the right security measures in place. For example, you have to put in two-factor authentication in place to ensure that your currency is much more safer. Or the safest bet would be to take it offline, right? Which means that buy a cold wallet and store your currency on a cold wallet, and you can just keep it there. And specifically for people who are putting their money in as a savings, right? So that the money or the cryptocurrency will appreciate over a long time. So what it would mean is that you would not need to be trading on a daily basis or speculating in order for you to make, short-term gains. So those are the two major sort of risks that I would highlight. But of course, there are others. But the two major ones is first, of course, is relates to sort of there's no regulation. So there are a lot of scammers. And the second one is the hackers in terms of ensuring your security is in place, specifically your login details if you are leaving your currency on an exchange.
Mm-hmm. All right, Sufyan, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'd like to talk about the future of banking. With 17,000 cryptocurrencies currently available, what does this mean for the banking system? Please stay with us.
Alhamdulillah, we are finally free of riba. Barkat smells lovely.
Yeah, with Yakin, I managed to stop all the riba, Hajo. This insurance price is going up again.
Oh, we are not free of riba, Babu. You need to stop the insurance.
We have to have insurance, Hajo. You know how bad it is with all the crime and the accidents.
Have a little yakin now, Babu.
Yeah, man, I do have a little yakin. But I wish there was a way to leave all these riba insurance companies, man. There's so much riba.
Babu, I can't handle this. The stench. It stinks.
Is that my underarms?
No, the riba stinks. Please find a way to stop this riba insurance, Babu.
Leaving riba insurance is easier than you think. Call Amana IFS for all your personal and commercial takaful needs. 0861 786 393. Amana, leave riba for good.
Amana IFS is a registered financial services provider.
When bombs rained down on Gaza, Islamic Relief responded immediately. with life-saving aid. When the cameras left, we remained to rebuild the shattered lives. We believe that not a leaf falls, but that Allah knows it. You too can help Islamic Relief rebuild Gaza. Donate today at www.islamic-relief.org.za.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
12:47. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mari Mukwanda, and we are getting a crash course on cryptocurrencies. And I had no idea that there was 17, or there is 17,000 cryptocurrencies currently available. I know like 5 only. So wow, there's still so much more that we need to know, that we can learn about as well. So the lines are open. If you have any questions, you can send them to us on WhatsApp. The number is 061-766-0355, or you can leave them in the comments section below. And still with me is the founder of Encryptoza Sufyan. Sufyan, shukran for staying with us. Now, there is an increasing number of Muslims getting involved in cryptocurrency, wanting to buy cryptocurrencies as well. But there are also some who have doubts. You know, they're still unsure about the cryptocurrency world. Now, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I think the first thing that we need to sort of discuss is, before we get into why people should consider investing in Bitcoin, we need to speak about the element of it being permissible or not from an Islamic perspective, right? And, you know, firstly, to answer that question, right, whether cryptocurrency is halal or not, you know, I'm not a scholar, so neither have I studied Islamic jurisprudence. So I cannot say, you know, that this is right and this is wrong, right? But what I can say is that, based on my personal research, right, and one of the scholars that I do love and follow is Dr. Yasir Qadhi, and what he has mentioned is that Bitcoin, from an Islamic perspective, is permissible, as well as other sort of cryptocurrencies. So for me, that is suitable enough. Majority of the scholars are saying that it is permissible from an Islamic perspective. So I'll leave the fatwas to them. Okay, that's the sort of the first point. I think the second point I want to make is that there's quite a lot going on in the world, right? And when you look at Bitcoin per se as an asset class, Bitcoin, in terms of performance, has performed, you know, the best from all asset classes. Basically, in the last decade, Bitcoin has gone up by about 1,000%, right? And has been the best performing asset class. So you can compare that to NASDAQ, you can compare that to oil, to gold, to real estate. Bitcoin has outperformed each and every other asset class. That's the first thing that you sort of need to sort of take into consideration, right? The second asset class that came next after Bitcoin is the NASDAQ 100. I don't know if you've heard of the NASDAQ 100, Mariam. The NASDAQ 100 basically is a basket of technical stocks put together. So the basket of the top 100 non-financial stocks put together, like your Amazon, your Google, your Meta, Facebook, etc. They came second after Bitcoin, right? This is just the first element I'm trying to sort of point out. The second point people need to consider is inflation, right? Now, not a lot of people understand or know how inflation works, right? A lot of people don't understand where money comes from. A lot of people don't understand, you know, the impact that inflation has on their savings. So that's the second thing that people need to consider, right? Bitcoin, right, is being used as a hedge against inflation. So you have a lot of billionaires. Like one billionaire that I follow his name is Michael Saylor, right? And Michael Saylor and his company MicroStrategy has invested billions of dollars into Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. So what that means is that if you look at inflation, right? Currently, I was looking at the stats. South Africa's inflation rate, if I'm not mistaken, is sitting at around 5.7%, if I'm not mistaken, right? And each year, right, inflation goes up by a certain percentage. Also, what the government does, they look at the CPI, and based on that, they say, okay, these are the baskets of goods, and this is how much they've gone up, and this is how much consumers are spending every year on these goods. Now, as time goes by, right, if you notice, for example, the 10 Rand that you have today in comparison to the 10 Rand that you had 10 years ago, have you noticed that the 10 Rand has lost buying power over these years? Have you noticed that? Yeah. So that's important to note, right? What it means is that the more money that's been printed by the central bank and that's been put into circulation, the more the existing supply loses buying power. So what that means is that if you have, for example, 1,000 Rand saved in your bank account today, for example, for you're trying to save for your kids' future, for their school fees in the future, etc. In the next 10 years, the value of the 1,000 Rand will be much less than what it is today. So that is one thing which is very important people need to consider. That's the reason why we're saying that you need to look for an asset or invest that money, whether it's in cryptocurrency or another asset class, into something so that the money is not just sitting in the bank, right? And even though your money is sitting in a bank, right, you're not accumulating anything. It's not appreciating. You understand? And that is sort of the concern. Or for some people that do invest in mutual funds or other items, it may appreciate to a certain degree, right? However, in terms of the best performing asset class currently is Bitcoin. Now, we can speak about volatility. That's sort of almost like a different discussion on that. But I mean, that's just my answer overall in terms of why people should consider investing in Bitcoin.
All right. We do have questions coming in from our viewers and our listeners, and I see time is not on our side, so please go through them as quickly as you can. Looking at this graph here that a viewer sent to us, they want to understand this. Like, how do you know if it's a good time to invest by looking at the graph? Let's see if we can get the graph on screen.
I can't see it yet.
All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. People always talk about buy low and sell high. When do you know when the market is at its lowest or at its highest?
Okay. To understand that, there's this term that's called technical analysis. And what that fundamentally means is that it's the ability to look at charts and sort of predict, right, where the price is going to next. Now, it's easy to sort of do, because I mean, this almost relates to the previous question, right? It's easy for you to do that. You just have to see, okay, what is today's current price and what has been the trend of the price over the last sort of 10 to 12 years since sort of Bitcoin has been in inception. And that's when you'll know, right? Because the market moves in three directions, right? Up, down, and sideways. So, are you with me, Mariam?
Yes, please continue.
Yeah? Okay. So the market moves in one of three directions, right? It either moves up, down, or sideways, where it correlates. So what people need to sort of consider is that the best time to buy is always when the market is in a downward trend. And I know people may think, okay, why would I be buying when the market is in a downward trend? Because that is the best time, because the chances is that the market will sort of retrace and go back into its previous direction, especially for the case of Bitcoin, right? Because when people are buying Bitcoin, you're not looking at it as a short-term goal. You're looking at it from a long-term perspective to say that, okay, if I'm buying Bitcoin, let's say, for example, is at $38,000, right, which is around almost close to R500,000 Rand, how much will it be worth in the next few months, in the next year, in the next 2 years, right? And you must take into consideration that Bitcoin has a limited supply of 21 million Bitcoins. So the more people that buy Bitcoin, right, the whole supply and demand, in the future, the value of Bitcoin will be much more than what it is today long term, right? So that's what people need to sort of take into consideration. So always try and look at the previous price, where the price is trending at, and consider buying when Bitcoin or any currency is in a downward trend instead of an uptrend. So you basically dollar cost average in, where you buy sort of a certain portion. So instead of putting, let's say if you have 1,000 Rand, instead of putting your full 1,000 Rand at a certain point, you bake your 1,000 Rand into 250 Rand and you purchase it at certain points in that retracement.
All right. And for the next question, in 1 minute, the guest wanted to understand this little graph. I think we had it there earlier on.
Okay.
Yes, that they want to understand, how do you know if it's a good time to invest?
Well, honestly, this is my personal opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, so people should not take my advice as financial advice. I must sort of note that. So they must still do their research. But the thing is, right, whenever it comes to cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, the best time to invest is now, right? Based on the previous points that I mentioned, right? Taking inflation into consideration, taking the market into consideration, taking the economy into consideration, taking the value of the Rand pegged to the dollar into consideration. So the best time to invest is now. It's never too late, right? You know, Bitcoin hit an all-time high of around $60,000, right? It's now sitting at around $38,000. So just think about it, right? That Bitcoin will most likely break that all-time high in the future. So the best time to consider buying, right? Personal opinion, not financial advice, is right now, as well as in the future, right? As long as there's a cap on Bitcoin, it's never too late to get into cryptocurrency. And of course, there are other cryptocurrencies that you can consider, but I mean, that's a different sort of discussion on its own. Maybe in the future we can have that as part of our next discussion, Mariam.
Yeah, actually, in the future, I wanted to talk about the metaverse and NFTs, etc., because that's
sure.
also another industry that is gaining a lot of popularity. Now, quickly, what is the future of the banking system?
So it's very interesting to see where the banking is at. What my personal opinion is that, you know, I don't think banking will be replaced, right? Like a lot of the Bitcoin maximalists, they're all saying, okay, you know what, Bitcoin is going to replace the banking industry. I don't think so. I feel like, you know, cryptocurrency, you know, invites innovation, which is a great thing for the banking sector as well, right? Because, you know, the banking sector has been using these old systems for quite a long time, right? And I think what this does, Bitcoin, it empowers the unbanked, right? Mariam, as you know, it's very difficult for someone, right, for example, in a rural area to open up a bank account. And before you can open up a bank account, there are certain things that you need to sort of provide, you know, your ID, your proof of address, you know, all these documents before you can qualify. And even take into consideration, like, you know, financing. Let's say, for example, you want to take out a loan, right, or you want to borrow. You know, there are certain standards and criteria that you need to meet in order for you to sort of qualify. Now, what I do feel is that cryptocurrency is a big disruption for the banking industry due to the fact that decentralized finance will play a key role, as well as the unbanked, the ability for somebody to simply just have a mobile phone in order for them to access crypto or any financial services is almost, you know, revolutionary. So that's my answer. I don't feel like the banks will be replaced. I feel like, you know, there will be almost like an element of centralization as well as decentralization. I'm not sure if they will work together, but definitely, I mean, yeah, we can have the discussion. I mean, there's a lot we can discuss. You know, where there are banks that are coming out with their own sort of currencies called CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. The Naira has an e-Naira, which has come out in Nigeria. So there's a lot of discussion around sort of banking and crypto.
All right. So that's all the time that we have. Unfortunately, we do not have any more time to continue with this discussion. But shukran so much for your time and for giving us that crash course. I'm sure our viewers and listeners got a little bit more insight into cryptocurrencies. But for now, take care and have a wonderful day. Oh, wait. But before you do so, please, your contact details for anyone who'd like to know more about Encryptoza.
Yeah, so I think the best thing is that, you know, everyone should just visit our website. It's www.encryptoza, you know, spelled this way here, .com. And if we also have an Instagram page, just at Encryptoza. And if they want to contact me, they can email me at sufyan@encryptoza.com. But I think the best way is to go through our website and contact us through our website or our social media channels.
All right. Shukran and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. That was the founder of Encryptoza. I've been saying Encryptoza all this time, but Encryptoza Sufyan Atib taking us through what cryptocurrency is. And that's all that we have for you today. Please join me next week, same time, same place, 11 to 1 p.m. right here on Salam Media. From myself, Mari Mukwanda, and the Salam Media team, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.